Farmers are furious. The John Deere 8R transmission rebuild hit one owner with a $22,000 bill, more than a season's profit. The once trusted Case IH Magnum 310 crushing farmers with $25,000 engine failures. And the mighty QuadTrack 550 undercarriage breakdowns topping $30,000. These machines were built to work the land, but they're bankrupting the very farmers who bought them. And those three are only the beginning. Here are 12 tractors dealers never warned you about. Number 12. Kubota M7 172. The M7 172 looks like everything you want in a mid-size workhorse. 170 horsepower, cab suspension, and that Kubota reliability reputation that sold your neighbor 3 machines. The price point sits right between compact utility and full-size agricultural tractors. Here's where it gets ugly. The hydraulic cooling fan is mounted behind a plastic shroud that cracks under vibration. By 800 hours, hairline fractures let debris straight into the radiator fins. The plastic becomes brittle in cold weather, making winter operation a guaranteed failure point. Add summer heat and field dust, and you're looking at overheating that kills hydraulic pumps faster than warranty coverage expires. One Iowa farmer hit a $4,800 repair bill when his loader circuits failed during hay season. Parts back-ordered 6 weeks because Kubota ships cooling components from Japan on a slow boat. His hay sat in the field and rotted, costing another $12,000 in feed he had to purchase instead. The next one? It'll strand you mid-field with no warning and even higher repair costs. Number 11. Massey Ferguson 8S265. This machine promises seamless power with its Dyna VT transmission and 270 horsepower that pulls like a freight train. Dealers love showcasing that butter-smooth CVT operation and the ergonomic cab that reduces operator fatigue during long days. What most people don't know is the variator belt runs hotter than Massey's engineers calculated during their European testing. Around 1,200 hours, the steel bands start separating from the rubber core. Temperature sensors in the transmission can't detect the belt degradation until it's catastrophic. When it goes, it doesn't slip gracefully. It grenades and takes the entire CVT housing with it. A Wisconsin dairy operation lost their primary tractor during silage harvest when the transmission locked solid, twisted the drive shaft, and cracked the rear differential housing. Total damage, $18,500. Insurance called it mechanical wear, not covered. The farm had to rent equipment at $300 per day for 6 weeks while waiting for parts from France. Number 10. Fendt 936 Vario. Fendt built their reputation on precision and reliability. The 936 Vario delivers 360 horsepower through their legendary continuously variable transmission, wrapped in a cab that rivals luxury cars. European farmers swear by these machines for their fuel efficiency and operator comfort. Here's the kicker. European electrical standards don't translate to American farm conditions. The CAN bus system that controls everything from engine timing to hydraulic flow uses connectors rated for German humidity, not Nebraska dust storms or Texas heat cycles. The plastic connector housings expand and contract at different rates than the metal terminals inside. Corrosion starts at 600 hours when moisture penetrates the microscopic gaps. First, you lose GPS guidance mid-strip, then hydraulic functions start dropping out randomly during critical operations. The dealer diagnostic computer shows communication errors but can't isolate the failing harness buried deep in the tractor's frame. One Montana wheat farmer spent $7,200 on electrical diagnostics alone across 4 separate shop visits. The tractor still cuts out during critical operations, and Fendt's technical support requires shipping control modules to Germany for analysis. Even more dangerous? This next one fails quietly until catastrophic damage is already done. 9. Versatile 310 Delta Track. The 310 Delta Track promises the flotation of tracks with the speed of wheels. 310 horsepower, 18-foot width capability, and rubber tracks that leave minimal compaction while maintaining road speeds up to 25 mph. The problem starts underground. Those rubber tracks run on a bogie wheel system with sealed bearings that can't be greased. Versatile Shield claims the seals keep contamination out, but dirt works past them anyway, especially in abrasive clay conditions that act like grinding paste. The bearing seize, but the rubber flexes enough to keep running, until the drive sprockets shear their hardened steel teeth. When it fails, you don't just lose the tractor. Track debris destroys $12,000 worth of planter attachments, and the seized bogie wheels gouge expensive rubber tracks beyond repair. One North Dakota farmer faced $23,000 in combined repairs during spring planting season. His insurance covered the implement damage, but called the track failure normal wear, since the tractor still moved under its own power. Irate. New Holland, a T8.435. New Holland's T8.435 delivers 435 horsepower with their Auto Command CVT that's supposed to optimize fuel efficiency automatically. The cab's loaded with precision ag-tech and climate control that rivals your pickup truck, plus IntelliSteer guidance that promises sub-inch accuracy. Here's where they got it wrong. The Auto Command system uses a wet clutch pack that modulates constantly under load. New Holland's software tries to maximize fuel economy by keeping engine RPMs low, but that forces the clutch to slip more than the thermal management system can handle. The clutch generates heat faster than the cooling system can dissipate it. By 1,000 hours, the clutch material breaks down into metallic debris that clogs the transmission filter and contaminates the hydraulic fluid. When the filter plugs, hydraulic pressure drops and the transmission goes into limp mode, right when you need full power most during time-critical operations. A Kansas farmer hit this failure during wheat harvest with 500 acres left to cut. The clutch rebuild ran $16,800 plus 40 tons in lost grain from weather damage, while the tractor sat in the shop for 3 weeks waiting for transmission specialists. This next machine? It's trusted by thousands of farmers, and failing just as many. 7. Case IH Steiger 540 Quad Track. The Steiger 540E Quad Track represents American muscle farming. 540 horsepower, 4 independent tracks, and a frame designed to pull the heaviest implements across the toughest ground conditions without getting stuck. What Case doesn't advertise: the undercarriage uses a centralized lubrication system that's supposed to grease all 64 roller bearings automatically through high-pressure lines. But the distribution block sits too low and collects field debris that clogs the metering orifices. When rock chips crack the housing, you lose hydraulic pressure to half the lubrication points without any warning indicators. Those ungreased bearings run hot, expand beyond tolerances, and seize solid. The seized rollers flat spot the rubber tracks, creating vibration harmonics that crack the undercarriage frame welds at stress concentration points. One broken weld point stresses the entire chassis, causing progressive failure across multiple connection points. A Nebraska operation faced $31,000 in undercarriage repairs at 400 hours. The tracks alone cost $18,000. But the frame damage meant certified structural welding that took 2 months to complete. During repair, they lost their entire spring tillage window. Mach 6. John Deere 9620RX. John Deere's 9620RX promises 6 and 20 horsepower through tracks that float over wet ground where wheels would sink. The PowerTech PSS 13.5-liter engine is supposed to meet Tier 4 final emissions while delivering maximum torque at lower RPMs for fuel efficiency. Here's the ugly truth. The diesel exhaust fluid injection system runs too lean to properly break down NOx emissions during heavy load conditions. Instead of adjusting the software mapping, Deere's solution was higher exhaust gas recirculation rates that push soot-laden air back into the combustion chambers. This creates a positive feedback loop of increasing contamination. Those chambers run hotter and dirtier than the engine was designed for. Carbon buildup clogs the intake valves by 800 hours, reducing airflow and increasing combustion temperatures. When valves stick open, you get compression loss and cylinder washing that strips protective oil films. The result? Scored cylinder walls that require complete engine block replacement. One Iowa farmer hit this failure during corn planting with 2,000 acres left to plant. The engine rebuild cost $28,000. Deere's warranty covered the parts but not the labor, or the lost planting window that cut his yields by 15 bushels per acre across his entire operation. The next one advertises legendary reliability, but delivers financial disasters instead. Number 5. Challenger MT875E. The Challenger MT875E carries Caterpillar's legacy of highway truck reliability, 540 horsepower, rubber track mobility, and the C15 AC-Art engine that powers long-haul trucks across millions of highway miles without major rebuilds. But here's what Cat doesn't mention. The agricultural version runs the C15 at constant high load with a cooling system sized for intermittent duty cycles typical of construction equipment. The radiator can't shed heat fast enough during continuous heavy tillage work, especially when field dust clogs the cooling fins and reduces airflow by 40%. Overheating warps the aluminum cylinder head so gradually that coolant loss looks like normal evaporation through the overflow tank. By the time you notice milky oil indicating coolant contamination, glycol has attacked the bearing surfaces for months. The rod bearings spin, score the crankshaft journals, and send metal debris throughout the lubrication system. A Montana wheat operation lost their primary tillage tractor this way during summer fallow preparation. The complete engine replacement hit $34,000. The failed block couldn't be machined due to cylinder sleeve damage, so they ate the $4,500 core charge too. Insurance covered nothing. calling it operator neglect for not maintaining adequate cooling system cleanliness. Want to know why dealers hide these problems? Subscribe now, because number 4 will make you question everything dealers told you about modern farming reliability. Number 4. Fendt 1050. Vario. The million-dollar mistake. Fendt's 1050 Vario represents the pinnacle of European engineering. 517 horsepower, infinite speed variability through their Vario drive transmission, and GPS guidance accurate to 1 inch for precision application work. Dealers position it as the ultimate precision farming platform for large-scale operations. The reality breaks family farms. That precision comes from dozens of electronic control modules that communicate over fiber optic networks running throughout the machine's frame. When moisture enters any connection point, it doesn't just kill that module. It corrupts data transmission across the entire networked system, causing cascading failures. One corroded connection can cause the engine management to misread load conditions, the transmission to select wrong gear ratios, and the hydraulics to operate at incorrect pressures simultaneously. You get catastrophic failures that appear completely unrelated, but stem from one $12 sensor connector that's impossible to locate without specialized diagnostic equipment. A Wisconsin dairy farm bought 2 1050s for $850,000 combined to replace their aging fleet. Both machines developed electrical gremlins by 500 hours of operation. The first repair attempt cost $9,000 and fixed nothing because technicians replaced symptoms instead of causes. The second attempt replaced the entire main wiring harness for $23,000 per tractor. After 18 months and $64,000 in electrical repairs, both tractors still cut out randomly during field operations. The farm financing company repossessed them as defective collateral, and the dairy operation filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Number 3. New Holland T9.615. A New Holland markets the T9.65 as the solution to rural labor shortages. 615 horsepower, 35-foot working width capability, and fuel efficiency that promises to cut operating costs per acre while covering more ground with fewer operators. Here's what kills profit margins. The Cursor 13 engine uses a common rail fuel system with injection pressures exceeding 35,000 psi, higher than some hydraulic systems. Those extreme pressures require fuel cleaner than most farm fuel systems can deliver, especially operations using on-farm storage tanks that accumulate water and sediment over time. When microscopic contamination reaches the precision-machined injectors, it scores the needle seats and spray tip orifices. Scored injectors don't fail completely. They just spray irregular fuel patterns that create localized hotspots in the combustion chamber. Those hotspots melt aluminum piston tops and crack cast iron cylinder heads along cooling passages. The engine keeps running but loses power gradually over hundreds of hours, so you don't realize the internal damage until white smoke starts pouring from the exhaust stack during high-load operations. One Illinois grain farm caught this after their T9.615 lost 20% of its rated power during fall harvest. 6 cylinders needed new pistons, 4 heads required replacement, and the fuel system needed complete rebuilding. Total bill, $41,000 for parts and labor. The kicker? New Holland blamed poor fuel quality and voided the entire powertrain warranty. The farm had to finance the repair costs on top of their existing equipment loan payments, destroying their cash flow projections. Even scarier? This next tractor looks completely safe, but hides a design flaw that's actually injured operators. Number 2. Case IH Steiger 620, power without protection. The Steiger 620 delivers 620 horsepower through mechanical simplicity that harks back to more reliable times. No complex electronics, no DF systems, no computer-controlled everything. Just brute mechanical force that pulls through any field condition without sophisticated failure modes. That mechanical simplicity hides a potentially lethal design flaw. The cab mounting system uses rubber isolators originally designed for lighter tractors in the 400 horsepower range. Under full load conditions, the 620's massive engine produces vibration harmonics that exceed those isolator design limits by significant margins. The rubber deteriorates from constant flexing. The cab starts oscillating independently of the chassis, and the mounting bolts gradually work loose. When cab mounts fail progressively, the operator compartment can shift several degrees during operation. Controls become unreachable, sight lines through windows change unpredictably, and door latches may not align properly with their frames. Emergency egress becomes impossible if the cab twists enough to jam the door. One Kansas farmer had his cab twist 15 degrees during a hard-pulled turn with a deep ripper attachment. The door jammed shut, trapping him inside with engine controls that no longer matched their labeled functions. He had to break the rear window to escape when the hydraulic lever positions shifted beyond recognition. The repair requires complete cab removal and frame modification to accept upgraded mounting systems. Cost $38,000. But the real cost is operator confidence. Hired hands refuse to run machines that might trap them during emergency situations. And the worst part? Case IH knows about this mounting problem but calls it normal settling that requires periodic maintenance adjustment, shifting liability to owners. But this final tractor? It's the most financially dangerous of all because it's also the most commonly purchased. Armature 1, John Deere 8R Series, the bankruptcy machine. Walk any equipment dealership lot and you'll see entire rows of green 8R tractors, 270 to 410 horsepower across multiple models, proven field reliability, and that legendary Deere resale value that makes bank financing easy to obtain. It's America's most popular high-horsepower tractor family by sales volume. Here's why it's systematically destroying family farms across the entire Corn Belt. The 8R uses Deere's proprietary E23 power shift transmission that shifts seamlessly under full load without interrupting power flow to the ground. Sounds perfect for maintaining productivity during time-critical operations. The problem lies in the wet clutch pack technology that makes this seamless shifting possible under extreme loads. These clutch packs modulate constantly during operation, generating tremendous heat that breaks down the specialized transmission fluid faster than Deere's service intervals account for. Deere specifies expensive 50-weight synthetic fluid to handle the thermal stress, but that thick oil can't flow fast enough through the cooling circuits during sustained heavy work like deep tillage or large implement pulling. The clutches overheat, burn their friction material, and dump metallic debris into the entire hydraulic system. That contaminated debris clogs precision filters, scores expensive valve bodies, and contaminates every gallon of fluid in the transmission case. When catastrophic failure occurs, you don't just need new clutches, you need complete transmission replacement. But here's the criminally negligent part. Deere's onboard diagnostic software doesn't monitor clutch pack temperatures or debris contamination levels. The first warning you get is when the entire transmission locks up completely during field operations. No limp mode, no gradual power reduction, no advanced warning systems, just complete mechanical failure that strands you mid-field. A Minnesota farm family bought 3 8R tractors for $1.2 million total to modernize their 3,000-acre corn and soybean operation. All 3 machines suffered catastrophic transmission failures between 1,100 and 1,400 hours of operation. Deere's warranty covered the first repair under manufacturing defect, but claimed the other 2 were abuse-related because they occurred during heavy spring fieldwork, the exact conditions these machines were designed and marketed for. The transmission rebuilds cost $67,000 combined. The family borrowed against their century-old farmland to pay for repairs that should have been covered under warranty. When commodity prices dropped that fall due to trade disputes, they couldn't service both the original equipment loans and the emergency repair financing. The bank foreclosed on 800 acres of prime agricultural land that had been in the family for 4 generations. 3 families lost their farming heritage because Deere knew about transmission problems but continued selling defective machines to unsuspecting farmers. Deere's response to this family's bankruptcy? They offered a 5% discount on replacement 8R tractors if the family wanted to start over with new equipment loans. These 12 machines represent over $15 million in equipment that's supposed to build generational wealth, not destroy family farming operations. But there's something even worse than these expensive repair bills. The dealers who sold these tractors knew about every single problem we just covered through internal service bulletins and warranty claim patterns. Want absolute proof of dealer knowledge and corporate cover-ups? We spent 6 months tracking down confidential service bulletins, undisclosed warranty extensions, and sealed class action settlements that dealers are contractually prohibited from mentioning during sales presentations. We even found internal emails where manufacturers discuss acceptable failure rates and warranty cost containment strategies. That investigation became our most explosive expose yet, and it named specific dealers, manufacturers, and the lawyers who helped them hide these problems from farmers. Subscribe now because once you see documented evidence of how deep this conspiracy goes, you'll never trust a dealer handshake or manufacturer warranty again.